What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA show. And today's video is about a show that I've been watching. I think most of you MMA fans have been watching for a super long time. This is one of the OG podcasts on mixed martial arts, weighing in former fighter Josh Thompson and Big John McCarthy, legendary ref, one of the pioneers of the sport of mixed martial arts. He was one of the very first referees in the UFC. Legend. I love this show, and I still listen to it. Now, I don't maybe listen to all the fight breakdowns in their entirety because they really go through in detail for every fight card, no matter how big, how small. They talk about Bellator. They talk about all sorts of all things related to MMA, and massive props to them. Great show and great analysis and a great back and forth that they provide. But I'll usually go to them for particular fights that I'm interested in. They do a great job of time stamping as well, etc. But I don't know if you guys picked up on this last episode where they talked about Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo and this entire debacle. Well, some people, actually, John McCarthy wouldn't call it a debacle. He thinks that referee Jason Herzog did exactly the right thing, followed the right protocol, and everything worked out as it should. But I say debacle, I guess, from the standpoint of Dana White was upset. People are upset with Henry, the way it ended. Even Song Yadong doesn't seem to be satisfied with the way he got the victory. So it was a debacle from that standpoint. But anyways, these guys discussed it on their last show, and they actually got a little heated, which was entertaining. And I mean, it heated, but they still seem to come to a mutual understanding, even if it was still a disagreement. But anyways, I wanted to showcase this little moment because I thought it was interesting. I thought it was pretty funny. But moreover, I think that they get into a really interesting discussion about the protocol as to what happened during the fight, and specifically why, in Big John McCarthy's opinion, why Jason Herzog did exactly the right thing. So this was really interesting. And it also kind of talks about maybe why the ref did this, not for any particular reason other than it was in the interest of the UFC and the promotion. Now, and for the progression of the sport. So it's a little, man, it raises some questions. And again, when we talk about right or wrong or the fair thing or the unfair thing, it's a murky topic in mixed martial arts. But I guess if there's a set procedure and a set protocol in place for these types of occurrences, then you got to follow what's in place, just like the rule of law. And according to John McCarthy, that's what Jason Herzog did. So if you look at it from that standpoint, I think everything was done correctly. But Josh Thompson raises some interesting questions. So anyways, this is them talking about it and getting into it and having a little bit of a debate. And it was a pretty entertaining debate. But the cool thing is, at the end of the debate, I think we come to some interesting conclusions and answers about this entire ordeal. So let's check this out. We're going to watch through. This is a several minute exchange. So check it out.
But the bottom line is, when Henry came back after, so I can't see. Should have called the doctor in between rounds.
No, you shouldn't.
So he basically, what Josh is saying is he thinks that the fight should have been called a no contest, and both of them shouldn't have neither of them should have a loss on their record. He also is kind of saying that Henry didn't really know what was going on, didn't know that when the fourth round was going to be started and stopped, that it would go to the judges' scorecards, and that had he known, had a better understanding of the rules, he would have just said, nope, I'm out. This needs to be a no contest because I can't see whatsoever, and would have stopped completely. So anyways, that's what Josh is saying, that this outcome happened because Henry was not aware of the rules, and he feels for Henry. Maybe they're friends, or I think he's a fan of Henry, and just getting the fighters back in general. And then this is John McCarthy saying his piece, basically supporting the refs, supporting exactly what Jason Herzog did.
Okay, if a fighter told you I can't see, John, what do you do?
Did you not hear what I just told you?
What, he's a sole arbiter? Like, he gets to decide on whether the doctor should be brought in to take a look at his eye.
Excuse me, why is he going to bring the doctor in?
Because he still fought another minute and a half after that. Maybe he got hit in the eye again.
Hold on. He already did look at the eye, right?
And they fought another minute and a half.
And what does Jason know? What does he know already?
That he can't see.
He knows that he's not going to take another shot, so he's not fighting. So why am I going to bring a doctor in to look at his eye?
So you can call the fight right there on the spot where it should have been called.
Exactly what he did, and he went and told the doctor what he was going to be doing and how he was going to be doing it. Jason did a great job of controlling everything in there that would have been
It's just funny because I rarely ever see John McCarthy get this heated, and I'm sure it's not a serious thing. I mean, they're boys; they've been doing this forever. They're just having a healthy debate and a friendly back and forth. But it is kind of funny. But again, John invented this game in terms of the rules, in terms of refereeing. He is a pioneer in the sport, and so he's the expert in this case, in my opinion. He knows what Jason is supposed to do, and he is standing by Jason Herzog, and he's saying that he followed the right protocol, the right procedure, in his opinion, and he's explaining why.
Chaos for a lot of officials. He did the right thing. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. It's the right thing for the sport and for the promotion. The UFC, trust me, Hunter Campbell is probably sitting there, and Dana is what?
They're probably happy about it, right?
Damn fucking straight there.
So
it's like cursing. I think, yeah. So, anyways, he's pretty heated now. Josh Thompson. So, but this is a very interesting point. So he says he's doing what's right for the promotion, which I get that it's triggering Josh Thompson, and other people might find this suspicious, right? Because if you're now implementing rules or following a particular procedure, let's say for the benefit of the promotion, I can see how some people could interpret that as favoring a particular fighter, possibly like in the border of establishing a particular outcome. And I am very hesitant to say that because nobody really knew what was on the judge's scorecard. So nobody knew, the ref didn't know, nobody knew who was going to win that fight. But I think this is that murky territory that we get into. But I get what he's saying. What he's saying is, and he's going to talk about this more in a little bit, is that it is unsettling. Like, think how frustrating it is for the promotion, but also for fans to have a draw. And that's essentially what a no contest is. You have a no contest and there's no movement in the rankings. The fight is disappointing for fans. And you just have the division is now stagnant for those two fighters. Nobody changes position. Song Yadong's career is kind of stagnated. They have to have a rematch, and then they have a rematch when they could have had this fight to push up one fighter and maybe whatever, have some movement. And so now that has been stifled. So that's the issue. And that's why John is saying, hey, this is what's right for the sport, which overall is, but then it's also right for the promotion as an entity that's trying to put on good fights and be profitable. So anyways, this is like that back and forth, that push pull that they're going through. But I do agree with John McCarthy. I mean, look, you have to make the rules and set up the game in a way that we're having fluid divisions, fluid fights, and people are able to move up and down. We can have decisions being made. We can move forward. The fighters can move forward in their career. So I actually get what John's saying. It's just it gets a little bit of a weird area. And that's what Josh is pointing out. And he talks about this more later. Oh, hey, if you wanted to just say he was doing what he wanted to for the benefit of Dana White and Hunter Campbell, you should have just said that from the get-go.
They can just, right. So why don't you just start off the conversations with like, hey, John, or hey, Josh, Dana White knows that like this would be the best thing for the sport. So that's why the referee decided to make that call. We could have just bypassed all this conversation, John.
No, you're the one wanting to argue about it.
I know what Dana White wants, so I'm going to do that. That's exactly what just said.
You know you want to argue about this, so let's go.
No, I'm just saying.
The best part is I'm sitting on the side that I'm sitting on the side of truth.
And Hunter are happy that happened. So then the referee makes the decision based on what the promoter wants. Makes sense.
It's not based upon what the promoter wants. It's based upon what's right.
And this is actually an interesting point because I see what Josh is saying based on what the promoter wants. That's essentially the protocol that he's following. But again, there's a distinction, I believe, because yes, maybe the promotion or the commission or a confluence thereof has established these rules ahead of time for the benefit and for the continued growth of the sport. So it's like a murky situation. I think what Josh is insinuating is that Jason Herzog made this decision for maybe the fighter that the UFC wanted, which I don't think is exactly true because nobody knew what was on the scorecards. And I think they talk about this a little bit more in detail later. But I think that's Josh Thompson's perspective. But I think, hey, whether or not, yes, it's good for the sport, but this doesn't cross into the territory of Jason Herzog doing something nefarious by any means, or doing something that was for the benefit of a particular fighter that the UFC wanted to win. I think that's the key point here. So while it did work out that way, I think what Big John is saying is, look, these rules were established ahead of time. Yes, for the betterment of the sport, but that they were in place. Jason Herzog followed protocol. That's it.
What is right for the sport, what's right for the promotion. In fact, you said one thing. Is it also right for the fighters?
No,
Yeah.
no, that's something that I know. That's tough. That's a tough call. But look, it just felt like, and then this is my perspective. Like I simply here's the thing. Henry Cejudo and fighters like myself, Henry, because we've had this conversation, Henry didn't realize what he was doing when he started the fourth round. Fighters don't know the rules.
You're right.
If he would have said, no, I'm done, I'm not fighting, and just stopped right there on the spot, then what?
Like this is a little bit of a moot point because he's saying that Henry, I mean, that doesn't necessarily change what should have happened or what Jason Herzog should have done. Like Henry, I feel like what Josh Thompson is getting at here is that because of the way things played out, that maybe Jason shouldn't have done that because if he would have just called it off right from the get-go when he couldn't see, that would have benefited Henry in retrospect, now that we know the judges' scorecards. But I don't think you can take that vantage point and say, you can't take that stance and say, all right, well, it was the wrong play because had Henry known the rules and the scorecards that he was going to lose, had the rules been carried out, he could have put his foot down earlier and just said, I'm not going to fight or something, like, you know what I mean? And then gotten a no contest. Like there's too many what ifs. It's I'm not in agreement with this point exactly. And maybe Josh is just taking the stance because he really likes Henry Cejudo and feels bad about how everything played out and all the hate he's getting. But anyways, I don't know about this point, but let him finish his thoughts.
Would have went to a no contest.
If they would have called it before Jason had come up and said, hey, all right, then we're going to enter the fourth round.
But if Henry would have turned to him and said, no, we're not starting the fourth round.
That would have been Jason's
fighting.
You're not going to have to.
No, he's just saying, I'm not fighting. I can't.
You're right.
I'm not fighting.
You're right. You're right. You're not fighting. You're not
John.
fighting. You're done.
So then the fight would have been done right there.
No.
Before the round started.
Only if Jason changed his mind. Jason's going to start that fourth round. Boom.
So you would have told Henry.
It's a half a second start.
Round.
I'm not sure if this is actually correct because I would be shocked if this is correct. But I think what Big John is saying is that even if Henry said, no, I refuse to fight, I cannot see, I'm out, and not started that fourth round for a half a second, because that's what happened. He started for half a second, then called it, and then it went to the judges' scorecards. Big John is saying that even if he said, I'm not fighting, nope, that was Jason's call, and he could have forced that. That I don't think makes sense, because what if somebody was bleeding on the ground, their eye, blood coming out of their eye, they literally can't stand up? I don't think they would have started it and been like, hey, let's go to the judges' scorecards. They probably would have said at that point, it has to be a no contest. So I'm not sure. I think they're just he's in the heat of the argument and doesn't want to back down. But that would not seem logical to me.
Half second start, but I would have done it exactly the same way Jason did it, because it's the right thing for the sport.
I'm glad that Song Yadong got his bone.
All right, there we go. So that's the conclusion of that little heated exchange. I thought it was entertaining, but I also thought it was informative. So if you guys did miss it, here it is for you. And if you haven't checked out Weighing In, you probably have. This, like I said, these guys are the OGs of the podcast game, of the YouTube game. But if you haven't, check it out. Check out this episode in particular, and you can hear the entire discussion. It's much longer than what I played here, but this is the juicy part, in my opinion. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did you enjoy this exchange? Did you find it useful, informative? Did you agree with some of my takes? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.